Hello, Chris Brasure. I want to visit with you about what a neuropsychological examination is and whether or not a traumatic brain injury patient should get one. Now, a neuropsychological exam is a special kind of process that's been developed to determine what kind of injury a TBI patient may have, and whether that be a problem with memory or what they call cognitive deficits. And so let's break that down a little bit more. First, a neuropsychological exam is an exam that's given by a neuropsychologist. And a neuropsychologist is a little bit more specialized type of psychologist that studies the relationship between the brain and behavior, and is able to diagnose and evaluate a traumatic brain injury patient's deficits and recommend some therapies to help the traumatic brain injury patient. Now, a neuropsychological exam is basically, let me just break down kind of what happens in most of them. First, the neuropsychologist will gather relevant historical information on the TBI patient, like their background and things like that, education history, and all the family relationships. Second, the neuropsychologist will go over medical records, typically to determine or to get a medical history of the TBI patient. Then, oftentimes the neuropsychologist will interview the TBI patient, and more often than not, I've seen the neuropsychologist interview family members who oftentimes are better historians of what's happened to the TBI patient. And then what'll happen is the neuropsychologist will give some standardized tests to the TBI patient, and they can be oral questions, written questions, they can be on a computer. And basically what the standardized testing is trying to do is determine what deficits or what impairments the TBI patient has. That usually is a big chunk of the neuropsychological examination, is that standardized testing. And finally, the neuropsychologist will take all of that data and then interpret it in a pretty standardized way, and then tell the patient what deficits they have, and tell the family members what deficits or what is wrong as far as memory, academic skills, sensory motor skills, and very importantly, can find some ways or some suggestions to help deal with the problems that the TBI patient's suffering from. And I have had numerous clients undergo neuropsychological testing, and it has proved to be very helpful, even when there's no, the MRI shows that the patient's brain is normal and things like that. And so I would encourage people, if they feel like they have symptoms, or loved ones, if a TBI patient has symptoms, to try to get a neuropsychological evaluation. Couple tips. First of all, they usually take a long time. Like, you should just set aside a whole day. And if you are the loved one bringing in a TBI patient, I would bring something to read or plan on being unavailable all day, because I've seen most of the time it goes an entire day. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope everybody stays safe and healthy. Thank you.